You have 3 months to live. The disease you have has no cure. We can treat your symptoms, but you're going to die. What would you do if you heard these words? Would you give up? Would you tell your loved ones goodbye? Or would you fight with everything you had to overcome your disease? Many Americans hear these words every day. What if there was a possible cure for your disease, or something that could prolong your life for many years, but you were told that you could not have it? Over 1,680,000 people were diagnosed with cancer in 2016, according to the National Cancer Institute. Now, we already have treatments for cancer. Some of these include chemotherapy, which is a drug that's injected to slow the growth of cancer cells. It has some side effects. These side effects include nausea, vomiting, neuropathy, and others. There's also surgery. Surgery has a risk of bleeding and infection. And then there's radiation. Radiation has side effects that include lung damage, bone loss, heart problems, and loss of joint mobility. So you can see all of these treatments have some serious side effects and risks. And despite these treatments, over 500,000 people died from cancer last year. There are also many other incurable diseases in the United States. Some of these include multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's, AIDS, cystic fibrosis, Parkinson's, and ALS. Millions of people are dying while waiting for a cure. Could some of them be saved if they were allowed to use experimental drugs? Unfortunately, we'll probably never know. One case in point is Diego Morris. He was a boy that was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, a rare form of bone cancer. The drug that he needed was not available in the United States, so his parents decided that they would take him to England for treatment, where the drug was already approved. They moved there, and for over a year, Diego underwent treatment. And today, he's cancer-free. You can find out more information about Diego and some of the other patients on righttotry.org. Now I want to tell you a little bit about the Food and Drug Administration and their approval process. The Food and Drug Administration is responsible for the safety of food and drugs in this country, and they do a great job, but they have limited resources and limited time, and terminally ill patients can't afford to wait. The approval process starts with the company developing a drug, and then they conduct animal testing. If that goes well, they can apply to the FDA for phase 1 testing. This testing is conducted in a small group, and it's concerned with safety of the drug. If that goes well, then they can apply for phase 2 testing. Phase 2 testing tests for the drug's effectiveness. If that testing goes well, then they can apply for phase 3 testing, and this tests for safety and effectiveness as well, but it's also in a larger group setting. If all of this goes well, then they meet with the FDA for a review meeting. And then they can submit an application for a new drug. The FDA has 60 days to file their application. And then they conduct a label review of the drug, and they inspect the manufacturing facility of the drug. After that, they make a final decision whether to approve or reject the drug. It can take up to 15 years, according to the Goldwater Institute, for a drug to get approved. In some rare cases, they can expedite this process, but that doesn't happen very often. 33 states today have passed right-to-try laws. These laws prevent doctors from being prosecuted for treating terminally ill patients. They allow patients to use these experimental drugs without fear of prosecution, and they make it so that drug companies cannot be held liable for any problems that may arise with the drug. There's also federal legislation pending. One bill is Senate Bill 2912, which is the Trickett-Winslow Right to Try Act of 2016. You can read more about this bill at congress.gov. So why do we need right to try legislation? According to the Goldwater Institute, most terminally ill patients are too sick to qualify for clinical trials. It takes too long for the FDA to approve them for the trials, even if the drugs have passed the safety trials. And we shouldn't have to ask permission from the government in order to try to save our own life. Any one of us or the ones that we love can be stricken by an incurable disease at any time. I urge you to act now, to give yourselves and others every available option to fight and overcome these terrible diseases. You can call and write your representatives at the state and local levels and tell them to enact right to try legislation. I hope that you learn more about the FDA approval process and what you can do to help speed up that process for people in dire need. Don't wait until illness strikes. Do it now. Thank you for your time.